The questions have always been about human functioning, how to live better lives. But this year, we've had additional questions from you of what the hell is going on in this country. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Fill in the Blanks. I'm actually recording this on Labor Day, the day before I'm dropping it to you. So happy Labor Day, everyone, even though it's over when you're listening to this. This is kind of special for me because it's been a long time since I've been able to just sit down and talk to you, just myself, without a guest. There's a reason that I'm doing this. It's not because I didn't have a guest this week. I have lots of guests, but I wanted to talk about something really important to me, and that is that this coming Monday, we're launching season 21 of Dr. Phil. That is, of course, very special for all of us at Dr. Phil, but it's special for some other reasons, and I'm going to tell you why right now, because I think this is going to be probably the most important season of Dr. Phil in 21 years. Important because of you, not because of us. And I'm going to pull the curtain back and give you a little insight into how Dr. Phil works. By Dr. Phil, I'm not talking about myself in the third person. I'm talking about Dr. Phil, the platform. You see, every year we shoot and have originals on until the end of May. And then every summer we work really hard to look at what we've been doing and to reinvent ourselves, focusing on how we can respond to and connect with you, our viewers, better and better. How we can tell our stories better, how we can deliver our message better. We've always let your questions drive our content. We let you and your mail, your comments, your questions determine what stories we do, what topics we pick up on, what we focus on. So if you ever wonder, why are they doing this show? Why are they doing that topic? It's because of the mail we get, the comments we get. So if you see us doing something or you see us doing it maybe 2 or 3 times, it's because we're getting so much input from all of you. So we've always let you determine what our content is. So we look at what questions you're asking and what challenges you're facing and what you want to see addressed. And let me tell you, in the last several months, those questions, those comments, those challenges have changed dramatically like I have never seen before. The questions have always been about human functioning, how to live better lives. But this year, this summer in particular, instead of just marriage, family, parenting, emotions, addiction, the things that you've always talked about, we've had additional questions from you, additional concerns, additional challenges. And they've included kind of a major heading of what the hell is going on in this country. What's going on in what seems like a crazy world. And I have to say, I've not been surprised by that because I've been asking the same questions. But when people ask me that, it's not rhetorical. When you guys say that to me, you're really looking for an answer. It's not just, wow, what's going on in this crazy world? It really is a question to which you're looking for an answer. I'll get more specific about what all of you guys have been asking. You're now asking about survival. What are we going to have to do to get by? What are we going to have to do to actually survive? You're asking about school shootings and school shooters. You're asking about school teachings. What are your kids actually being exposed to? You're asking about violent criminals on the streets and why they're on the streets. You're curious about whether our country is actually going to survive all of this divisiveness. You're concerned about what universities are teaching this generation. You're concerned about laws that aren't being enforced and some laws that are being over-enforced. You're saying it feels like if you disagree with someone, that boils over into hatred. You're concerned about this cancel culture where if you disagree with the wrong person or you say the wrong word, somebody jumps up and says, hate speech, just because you asked the wrong question or you use the wrong words. It's like everything is on edge, and you guys are saying, Dr. Phil, what in the world is going on? If you want another example, school shooters. You notice I said shooters, not shootings. We know so much more information about who these shooters are than we're using that it's just terrible. We need to stop politicizing it and do what we can to manage it. Now, we can have people go argue about the Second Amendment all they want to. That's fine. But there are already more guns on the street than there are Americans. There are thousands and thousands of assault rifles on the street. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about who the shooters are. And there are things we can do to cut down this tragic trend dramatically, and we can do it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that we can take to change this right now if people will just shut up and listen long enough to hear what it takes. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you want to know, that your kids can go to school and be safe. We know how to make them more safe. We can't make this go away, but we can slow it down. That's what I'm getting a lot of questions about, and there are answers to that. And I have relationships with the top experts in the world on how to make this happen. You're concerned about what your children are being taught in school. I understand, and you should be. The National Institute of Literacy says there are 32 million people in America that can't read above the 5th grade level. 19% of high school graduates can't read. How do they get through high school? The National Assessment of Educational Progress says 32% of 4th graders and 24% of 8th graders can't read beyond even the most basic level. Why is that? We've got all this controversy going on about changing pronouns with kids that don't even know what a pronoun is. I think we should spend at least as much time making sure they know what a pronoun is if we're going to be talking to them about changing their pronouns. If they want to do that, that's fine, but let's make sure they know what it is. I'm very concerned that we're moving into a victimhood culture. And culture is the operative word here. We are, by rewarding bad behavior, creating a culture of victims. Historically, victim was defined as one who is injured, destroyed, or sacrificed under any of various conditions. And listen, that happens. I'm not disputing that. There are undisputed victims of circumstances totally outside anyone's control that would be consensually acknowledged. I mean, think about it. People that go through hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and the like. These are events that can injure or destroy people's lives. They can be killed, financially ruined, wiped out. These victims of circumstances don't have common personality traits. They just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And many might call them survivors as opposed to victims. They were also victims of human-to-human types of harm, bullying, assaults, slavery, genocide, horrific tragedies like the Holocaust, war, things like that. But in my opinion, this victim label has been hijacked and appropriated by today's society. Research tells us, especially among some, but not all, that were born after 1985 and raised by what are called concierge parents, they started to claim that they've been injured by words or ideas. Injured. Now, that's important because they've medicalized it and actually gotten people fired for hurting their feelings. When I say concierge parents, we've all heard about free-range parents and helicopter parents that hover over their children and don't let them get out there and experience life. And concierge parents are the ones who always caught little Johnny or Jill before they fell and scraped their knee and made sure that they all got a big shiny trophy on their 0-12 soccer team that never won a game, and they celebrated every loss with a pizza party. They bulldozed away any obstacles so they never built up any immunity to social discord. They were never allowed to be teased or excluded or picked on even a little bit, so they never built up thick skin. They never learned how to be tough. Kind of like the princess and the pea. Princess was so sensitive that even a pea would be painful. Here's a clip of some of the things we've been working on. I want to talk about things that need to be talked about.
Hate crimes in the U.S. rose last year to the highest level in more than a decade.
Asian.
Why am I being targeted just for looking the way I am?
It gets worse, Dr. Phil.
The carnage in our nation's schools has become painfully repetitive.
I just started screaming her name, but I never heard anything back.
The police officers, we failed you.
More intense, more inclusive, more informative than ever.
The price of almost everything rising faster than in decades.
I just did a huge grocery haul. It was under $100.
What is your recommended budget?
This is a doable number.
What you're doing is working, so I'm going to shut up. Customers seem to be losing their cool at the drop of a hat. What the hell is going on? If you miss a day, you miss a lot. Oh boy, are we going to talk about that. You can see the kind of things we're working on. We're still focused on real people with real stories, resolving real problems. And I'm trying to give people real answers and real strategies. Some of the topics that we've been dealing with are our streets safe? This pattern we've gotten into of releasing violent criminals where they're out knocking people in the head or pushing them onto subway tracks hours after they were arrested when they've got a dozen priors and they just won't put them in jail. We take a hard look at these school shootings that I mentioned before. We take a look at what's happening with the transgender agenda in schools. Should it be there or should it not? Transgender athletes, should they be competing in women's sports? We've got a series on inflation to help you stretch your dollar in this time. And I'm not talking about theory and a bunch of things you could read in a pamphlet from the government. I'm talking about no kidding tricks of the trade to actually get more buying power from your dollar, to stretch your budget so you can get more. And I'm bringing in top experts that tell you how to beat the system. I have to tell you, I'm so proud that you guys have reached out and honored me with your questions and your thoughts, because it has revitalized me to the point that I am as excited about season 21 as I was about season 1, because you've put challenges in front of me and our team. That just means a lot. So I accept that challenge and I'm excited about it. I love this country. I know there are people that say that's not the in vogue thing to say, but I love this country. I love it for what it offers and has offered to me and my family and most everyone I have ever known. Now, is it perfect? No, not by a long shot. But neither are any of us who make up the population that defines the United States of America. And think about it. We are this country. Without all of us, America's just a big landmass. So all of us, you, me, your friends, your family, we are America. And if it's screwed up, it's because we are screwing it up big time. You, me, them, all of us. And we need to know that. I know it. They know it. Some of us may be too self-righteous and narcissistic and sanctimonious to admit it out loud, maybe even privately, but at some level, we all have to know that we are America. And I think we are blowing the greatest human experience, the greatest social experiment, the greatest opportunity in history. And the reason you're hearing me say this, instead of me hearing you say it, is not because I'm smarter, braver, wiser, or some greater thinker. You're hearing me talk about it because, frankly, I heard your questions and your challenges, and I just ran out of reasons not to talk about this. I've been thinking about this for the last several years. And quite frankly, I just can't take it anymore. I have to talk about these things. And then when your questions started turning in that direction, I knew that was a sign I had to start talking about this. And I'm talking about this because it's the perfect storm. I'm feeling it. This country is where it is. And then I start getting your questions. And I just sit there saying, I can't take it anymore. Knowing what I know, I can't sit here as part of the silent majority of Americans watching common sense get thrown out the window, mocked, criticized, judged, and labeled toxic by a very loud minority of dysfunctional, postmodernistic thinking groups who have weaponized the art of character assassination to a level never seen before. Just because somebody maybe doesn't agree with them. And we're in a digital age now where social media platforms can attack people like never before. Look, I'm not going to tell you some tear-jerking story of how I grew up as a boy and had dreams of life in America. I want you to consider what I'm saying here because of what I know, the data supporting what I'm saying. We are in a bad spot in America right now. That's why you're writing me the things you're writing me. Cancel culture, mob rule, keyboard bullies, emotional extortion. We've got the tail wagging the dog on a lot of things. Individuals have personalities. So do families, and so do communities, and even our country. They have collective personalities, and they can be healthy, productive, cohesive, or they can be incredibly dysfunctional. There's a psychology to how all this functions. That's what has me troubled. What's it supposed to be like? And then how is it different? I always say that you should only compare yourself to you. So let's do that for a minute. There are different spheres of functioning, right? How was your life before everything got so divided? And what was the first link in the chain? Where did it start? Was it the vitriol that Trump introduced? Was it his inflammatory language? Did the rules change? Was it the Me Too movement? Was it BLM? Was it Colin Kaepernick when he wouldn't stand for the national anthem? Was it before that? Has it been long brewing? Was there any response society could have made that would have been acceptable and stopped the violence and destruction that was going on in the streets after George Floyd? Are we now driven by revenge? Has the objective changed for our collective consciousness? But I really hope you'll join us for the launch of the season. And I promise you, you're going to see a rebirth of common sense. You're going to get the absolute truth. What the data really says, what the science really says, what you can do to make your school safer, what you can do to make your community safer, what you can do to put your life where you want it. I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about things that matter to people who care, and the people who care are you. So you let me know what you want addressed, and that's what we're going to do. If you're in the Los Angeles area, or you're going to be, let us know and come be part of the studio audience. You're right up on stage with me, and the audience is participating in the conversations. You can ask me questions. You can ask the guest questions. It's a good old-fashioned town hall meeting, focus group type thing where you can weigh in and be heard. Like I said, this is real like you haven't seen on television ever before. And I couldn't be more excited. So I decided to dedicate this podcast to it, to let all of y'all know. And thank you so much for being supporters of Fill in the Blanks. Listen, tell 5 of your friends to listen to this episode of Fill in the Blanks and to join us September 12th for the season launch. We're still the #1 show, all because of you. And we're very proud of that as we launch off into the historic 21st season. So thank you for listening. We'll see you for season launch on Monday, September 12th, talking about things that matter. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you next Tuesday. So long.